Welcome back to another episode of the Spider Bros podcast. This is episode number 3. Thank you guys for joining us. We actually have Grayson on video this time. If you missed the second episode that we did, he unfortunately was not able to get his computer to work, but now his computer is working, so we're super excited about that. Hopefully the
I
video
fixed
turns
it.
out great. Yes, it's all Grayson. He literally took his computer apart. He started rearranging some wires, put in a brand new battery, fan, and all of that stuff. Some
Yep.
Peter Parker wizardry that you had going on there.
Yeah, that's all a lie. I did not do that. I just looked up a YouTube guide and I fixed it.
Man. So since the last episode we did, so I think on the last episode we actually got our gameplay reveal and we covered that, and that was a lot of fun. We had some great theories. Now we had an unexpected news drop at Summer Game Fest where Brian Intihar, creative director of Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man 2, actually dropped some awesome news. It was very unexpected, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch Summer Game Fest. I was getting tattooed because I was like, not going to happen. And some big news dropped. So obviously the actual date got revealed for Marvel Spider-Man 2. And then he also revealed a little bit of story details that we're going to get into. But first off, thoughts on the day of October 20th this year.
Fine by me, man. I'm not really doing much in October. It seems like a perfect kind of time period to release it. I think I saw a tweet that you mentioned that, that October Halloween time is kind
Yeah.
of perfect for the story I think they're setting up, especially Venom being a more like, you know, horrific villain, very monstrous. I think it's a suitable time. Gives them plenty of time to keep working on it until then, and I'm glad they're not like rushing it at like the very end of September and they're taking their time. So I'm chill.
I love it. I think Miles Morales also came out in October. Am I
It was
incorrect on
it
that?
was I think it was like the very beginning of November.
Okay. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
really all over the place. People were speculating that it could come in September. I myself thought it would come in September because Tony Todd kind of alluded to that, but turns out that was nothing. And
Yeah.
we have an October 20th release date. I love this release date, by the way. Like, I think the spooky vibes, I'm here for it. This is going to be a darker story. That's been confirmed by Bill Roseman, the president of, our
Yep.
vice president of Marvel Games. And we have a Venom story, Craven, which are two of the darker villains in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. So pretty excited about it. That will give us something to do for the 2 weeks leading up to Halloween.
Yeah.
I think this is like a perfect time slot. And like, there's something so nostalgic about playing Spider-Man games during the fall. I don't know if you feel that
Oh
too.
yeah. Yeah.
I always like, once the weather starts to change a little bit and get a little bit cooler, I just get in that mood to like hop back into Spider-Man. So I love
It
the fall
it
release.
almost is like perfect. I completely agree with you. That the Spider-Man PS4 came out in like around September, and it was like early fall, right?
Yeah.
The leaves were changing, and it was starting to get a little bit cooler. And that's when I think of Spider-Man PS4, that's almost exactly what I think of,
Yeah.
because it almost feels like it was synonymous with the game as well, where it was like, oh, the leaves are starting to turn more this golden yellow color, and it's just that fall era. And then you've got Miles Morales, which was the big prominent thing about it was that it was set in the winter time, and that was like November. It was like Thanksgiving, and the snow's falling, and it's getting colder. We're in jackets. I'm like, I mean, and I don't know if they're doing that on purpose or not, but I feel like October is like really that in between, especially because I believe they announced the time of like how far along after Miles Morales it takes, which I
Yeah.
believe is 10 months. Which, if you
Yeah.
do that math, that's basically September, October
Yeah.
time. Because from what I understand, Miles Morales was basically when the game came out. That is when it is set.
Well, I think
Which
the
is
first mission was on Christmas Day.
in Miles Morales.
I believe so, because pretty much like right away they have like their Christmas dinner.
Okay,
I
I couldn't
want to
remember if
say
it was
maybe.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, but
Yeah, I might need somebody in the comments will definitely tell us
yeah,
and let us know.
please do.
There's a pro or an expert out there for that. Yeah,
Mhm.
like the release date's awesome. Happy that Brian Intihar covered that. I'm gonna let you guys know that we're actually gonna get into like all of the pre-order information and all of that stuff on a part 2 of this episode that will release probably in a
Yes.
couple days.
Yeah.
And in that episode, Grayson's actually going to be hosting for the first time on the channel, but he's got plenty of experience hosting on our old podcast. So look
You'll
out for that.
see. You're in for a treat.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be
And,
wacky.
and but and before we jump into like kind of the main thing that Brian mentioned, I just wanted to say thank you guys for your patience. Just I was out of town for the past couple weeks, so I know it has been a while since we had that second episode talking about the gameplay reveal. But thankfully, it's given us enough time to deliver this kind of double whammy of episodes. So thank you guys for the patience, and hopefully we'll be back in kind of a more regular schedule with
Heck
that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Probably weekly. But
yeah.
so Brian Intihar comes up on stage, Summer Game Fest. Again, I'm not paying attention whatsoever. I think that I've been disappointed by that event in the past, and I didn't have any high expectations for it, considering that we pretty much got news about 2 weeks before Summer Game Fest took place. So I was like, that seems a little bit too soon to drop something major.
Right.
He did go on stage. He talked a little bit about Craven. He gave us some new concept art, which I thought looked phenomenal, especially that fight with Venom in the rain, swinging through New York City, Peter and Miles. It's just like the perfect vibes that I want. But then he really revealed something that I never expected him to reveal, and that is that Eddie Brock will not be Venom in this game. And that's something that I've had a feeling would happen. And now it's been confirmed.
At first you weren't into the idea, and then
Yeah.
you were like, actually, I am into the idea. I think he will be. And then it's like a week later, Eddie Brock is not Venom, and you're like, oh.
We actually had this conversation probably on I think the second episode that we did. And
We talked because there was the running theory that if Peter was Venom.
right.
I'm
Which is
seeing
also
some
confirmed now. That is not going to be real.
Yeah, is that confirmed? That,
I mean, you figure unless he becomes Venom and then somebody else does, but you see Peter and Miles fighting Venom.
That's true.
So that's the only thing I can think of. So now
I saw an absolutely wild theory. Sorry for cutting you off, but we'll get into it in just a second.
Yeah.
But
I've seen a lot of crazy ones, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want to start before we jump into the crazy theories, which I'm all for. I love theorizing stuff. Like we can talk about Aunt May being Venom for all I care. Like I'm cool with that. So
that one is wild. Yeah.
Or MJ or whatever it's going to be. It's going to be something crazy that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
We just like to have some fun, but I think that it's possible we might be looking into this a little bit too much. I feel like that's what's happening here, and it's just because Insomniac really got us with the first game where we thought Mr. Negative was going to be the main villain, and it ended up being Doc Ock, which is awesome. But there wasn't like a big twist in terms of the identity of who Doc Ock was. We just didn't know he was going to be the main villain of the game. So if we look back at the previous post-credit scenes, along with all of the recordings that were left from Harry in the research stations in the first game, along with MJ digging through the penthouse and digging up all this information on Harry, it seems as if Insomniac is pretty much letting us know that Harry Osborn is going to be Venom. In the post-credit scene, he has a symbiote all around him. It reaches out to his dad when his hand is on the glass. Everything, all the signs are there for Harry Osborn as Venom. However, something just tells me it's going to be somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I get that feeling.
I don't understand why you don't reveal it. Like, Brian's quick to say it's not going to be Eddie, but not confirm that Harry Osborn is Venom in our game.
Do you know what this reminds me of, Keenan? And I've seen people make this comparison. Flashbacks to 2013, 2014. Arkham Knight is an original character. You guys remember that? Yeah. I remember like, oh man, and everyone was like, it's totally gonna be Jason Todd, and they were like, nope, it's an original character. And we're like, well man, who could it be? Spoilers for this almost 10-year-old game, Batman Arkham Knight. You have been warned. 3, 2, 1. The Arkham Knight is Jason Todd. They just lied to our face. The Arkham Knight was an original like alias, but it was not an original character. So there is a chance also here that Insomniac is just straight up lying to our faces, and that like maybe the main version of Venom is not Eddie, but by the end of the game, the symbiote gets to Eddie, right? In a
Yeah.
post-credit scene where it's like, oh, maybe Harry isn't Venom anymore, but now Eddie is, right? It goes to the OG host. I mean, Eddie is kind of synonymous with the symbiote, but also like other characters have held it and still been Venom. I think most notoriously, other than Eddie, has been Flash Thompson,
Yeah.
which I don't think is going to be Flash Thompson in this game because he hasn't even existed. Like there's no presence of him. Neither is Eddie, but still, there's always room to introduce that. But like, it's likely going to be Harry. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Especially, I was also going to mention on top of the other details you mentioned that the voice actor, I believe it's Scott Porter, who voiced Harry in the first game, is not returning for this game,
Which
which
is a
makes me think,
bummer. I actually love
yeah,
him. He
yeah,
was
he
great
does a
as
great job.
Heimdall in God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, he's Heimdall. That's
Yeah.
awesome. He
He's
played.
also
I
in
know
one of my favorite shows, but that's besides the point.
he's also he is Nightwing in Arkham Knight, and he's also Damian Wayne in Injustice 2. So he's no stranger to comic book roles by any means, but yeah, I feel like that recast is significant because maybe they wanted to get somebody else.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know why, but we know obviously Insomniac likes to kind of change some things up. The biggest thing being the face, which people are still up in arms
That's
about. But
a
yeah,
really good point, actually, that I hadn't considered before, because the whole idea of them changing Peter Parker's face was just because the
hmm
motion capture work. They wanted, bone structure that's similar to Yuri's, helps with the
right,
performance and all of that. And maybe they knew that Eddie, or not Eddie, Harry Osborn's going to have a pretty big role in this game, maybe as Venom, and that's the same reason that they decided to recast
yeah,
him. Because it
yeah,
doesn't seem like this was like Scott Porter's decision. It seemed like he was pretty
yeah,
disappointed that he wasn't going to be playing him.
right.
So
It's hard to say. Maybe they'll make a statement at some point. I'm not really sure. I don't see them. I mean, obviously, we're going to figure out who is playing Harry eventually. It's interesting that it hasn't been announced, though. Only that who's voicing Venom.
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, like if you look at the everything on the surface, it's Harry Osborn that's going to be Venom.
Yeah.
There could
What
be some
is
sort of
now?
bait and switch.
I was curious. I need a refresher. What is the post-credit scene for Miles Morales? I know it continues to set up this, but I completely forgot what it is.
I believe it's when uh, Connors is doing some work or whatever, and God, Norman Osborn rushes into the room and he's like, "Get him out of there! He's been in there long enough," or something like that. And then
Mm,
Connors is like, he's not ready," or something along the lines like that. And
gotcha. Okay.
Norman forces Connors to release him from the little green
Right.
gooey tube that he's in.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and there's going back to the whole theory is that, like, the symbiote never really is like in Harry at any point in time. It's kind of like around Harry,
Yeah.
and that's something that's pretty interesting. But at the same time, like, Insomniac probably needs to do that to let people know that he has the symbiote, because like how
Right.
else do you like visually convey that Harry has the symbiote other than putting it
Right.
around him? But
Yeah.
if you look back at the first post-credit scene from Spider-Man PS4, and this is where we'll get into our wacky theories,
hmm
is you could possibly say that the symbiote is kind of rejecting Harry because he is so weak, and obviously the symbiote wants a strong host.
hmm
Now you see the actual symbiote reach out to Norman as he puts his hand on the glass, and it makes
Yeah.
you wonder if like the symbiote's reaching out, like wanting, you know, who knows, Norman Osborn as the host. At this point in time, we don't know if he's like injected himself with some sort of serum or whatever it
Yeah.
may be, or maybe he just like, this is the best option other than what I have right now with Harry.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the case. I think that they've made it pretty clear that Norman's going to be Green Goblin, obviously, and that's what I would want. You got the green
Me
glow on
too.
his face. It's just like, that's just perfect,
It's
perfect
gotta
imagery.
happen, man.
Absolutely. So is there a theory out there that you're like, that'd be pretty interesting, or that'd be pretty cool, other than Harry Osborn?
Uh, okay, well, it's hard. Yeah, you mentioned some of the crazier ones. Yeah, you're right that I don't think. I mean, again, doubling down, like I don't think it's Peter. There's a reason we don't see Peter in the black suit fighting Venom. There's been stories before where like Peter gets like a split off version of the symbiote. Like Peter has fought Venom in the black suit again, like in the comics before or in other video game, whatever. I know the most plausible wild one would be Craven being Venom.
Yeah.
I know some people that are just adamantly against it, but I think it kind of fits his character. I think he would be like, but it's weird. I know some people think that Craven is like, no, he wants to do things himself, but I feel like if the symbiote got on him, it would warp his mind immediately to be like, oh, I can use this.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think like it would just be weird for the like. I'm just trying to think of the way the story would play out, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. The Mary Jane one was just like I just was like, what? I don't know. In my head, I feel like she would, if she was Venom, would look more feminine looking. I guess I don't know.
We need
like
to shut down Reddit right now.
Yeah,
This is where these theories are born.
Well, it is shut down right now with the Reddit
Yeah,
blackout,
that's true.
but that's something else. But yeah, the MJ thing. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I will pass on that. Yeah, I don't know. Has anybody said that it could be Otto?
I actually thought about this yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
weird. I was driving on my way to work, and I saw a lot of theories out there, and I'm just like, who else could it be? Because other than like, if we're getting on to like the out there theories, it's it's kind of Norman, it's Craven,
Yeah.
and Eddie's definitely not it unless we've been lied to. So I was just like, what about Otto? Like, Otto could be interesting. Here's the thing also that we haven't really touched on is that Brian Intihar did say that he wanted to make a new and original story that hasn't been seen before.
Right.
Venom or Harry Osborn as Venom has been seen before. Like,
Yep.
you have to go to the animated, but like, it's been done before.
Yeah,
So,
it's in the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show with Drake Bell.
yeah,
Which is like,
it's probably one of the best shows
okay.
ever made. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's better than the 2017 Spider-Man
Yeah.
show on Disney XD. That thing is horrible. Yeah, that I mean, to be honest, I've seen that episode and I actually don't dislike it. I think it's very interesting,
Mhm.
like a really cool. Yeah, it's not an original story. It really is hard to say. I feel like they have to be very careful with their words, or they.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing: if they were lying, I'm not going to be mad because these pop culture, comic book, fandom things, we are lied to all the time about these spoilers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, think about how long Ewan McGregor had to lie about him coming back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or the trailers for like the Avengers movies and how edited they are. Like,
Andrew
No Way
Garfield.
Home, yeah, the Andrew Garfield. Like, these are not things that are just like rarely happen. They really could be just saying this
Yeah.
to keep us on our toes. And if that's the case, I'm fine with it. But like, I don't know. I really, to be honest, I like to theorize, but I'm kind of like, I just want to wait and see. We'll see what happens. But I mean, it's gotta be Harry. Like,
Yeah. I won't be disappointed with whoever it is. Like, I just trust Insomniac so much on that level
Yeah.
that I'm just like,
and here's the thing, like, even if Harry is Venom, that whole Ultimate Spider-Man TV show thing that happened where he was Venom, it was much different. He had the symbiote. He had a watch that had the symbiote in it, and he was like a doppelganger Spider-Man.
yeah.
And he just was going around New York City, and he was like the new cool Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure like J. Jonah Jameson like loved him, and so it was a cool, interesting little take. Well, eventually it takes over Harry, and because Harry is unaware, like, oh no, it's fine, and then he eventually becomes Venom. This is a lot different. Like
Yeah.
Harry is sick, Harry is dying. Norman is trying to figure out a way to cure him. Whether the symbiote is alive or some creation, we don't know. So they can still do a different story with it still being Harry. So let us know your craziest theories, though. I'm open ears, but if they're dumb,
Be
I'm
prepared to
not.
be
I'm
laughed
just,
at.
yeah, it's okay. There's no harm in theorizing. We will all have our answers when the game comes out.
That's right. So we're going to jump over to the next segment of this
Okay.
episode in particular. I'm going to let you guys know who are watching. If you do a super chat on pretty much any of the videos and you have a question, we're going to start making sure that we answer those questions in the next podcast episode. Also,
Yes.
every week I will start a members only discussion board or questions section on my community page. So if you're a member of the channel, you can leave us a question and we'll make sure to get that question answered to you in the next episode. So we actually do have a super chat from our previous episode that Grayson is going to get to, and we're going to answer that question for him.
Yeah, so I want to say thank you to Swaggy G. He was the first person that did the super chat, completely unexpected. So thank you so much. And his question is, "Hey Spider Bros, what roles do you guys think Kraven, Venom, and Norman will play in this game?" Which I think is almost perfect in the discussion that we are having, but we can get a little bit more into what kind of specifically they will play in like the overarching story. Um, so yeah, I want to ask you first. What do you think? Because I feel like we have similar views on this.
Sure, yeah. I think that Kraven's role to me is nothing more than the vessel to push Peter Parker over the edge in this story. He's not
Okay.
meant to be the end game, in my opinion. I think he's just used to really push Peter to a darker version of himself when he does
Hmm.
have the symbiote. And we see that in the gameplay trailer where he's like pissed off at Kraven for
Yeah.
whatever he's possibly done beforehand, and now that he's hunting Connors as the Lizard, he's angry at whatever Kraven is getting away with. I think I can theorize that Kraven is probably hunting down some other superhuman people in New York City,
Mhm.
whether it be villains or good people, Black Cat or Wraith, who's kind of in this weird gray area. So it's
Yep.
possible that Kraven's just going around New York City trying to get hunt down all of these people. So I think that that's kind of his role. I don't think he's meant to be the end game. Obviously, I think Venom is the end game for this
Yeah.
story. And what was the other one?
Norman.
Norman. I don't really know about Norman. That one's a tough one in my opinion.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know where they can go with this. They could completely, like, if you want a curveball, they throw Norman Osborn in this game as Green Goblin, and that's a big one.
It could happen.
It
Could happen.
definitely happen.
Who knows?
And then maybe third game you get Otto and Norman, teaming up against Spider-Man. I don't know. Just throwing that out
Yeah.
there. But yeah, as far as Norman, I could never give you like a clear answer because we don't really know much about him in this game. There's been no really, mention of him. There's no teases to his character. So that one's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. Then I think I agree, but I also disagree a little bit.
Let's hear
Here, in my head, this is what I think. I believe you're right. Kraven is, I think, the big opposing force. I believe if you're comparing it to the first game, he is the Mr. Negative. He's the one that you think is going to be like the main villain. I do think there likely is I don't think there's a secret villain, but I definitely think I don't think Kraven is going to be like the very end, like the way we thought Mr. Negative was going to be like the end goal villain. Because I mean, for a long time we didn't even know the Sinister Six was going to be in the game. And I definitely think there's going to be some villains that pop up in this that we have not seen before.
Yeah.
Even if it's just side stories or whatever. But I do think Venom. Yeah, you're right. I think he will be the big the big bad, but not necessarily like in the same way that kind of Otto was, except more Venom. Venom is just kind of like on the loose sort of thing, and it becomes a big struggle of like, we obviously know Peter is trying to save Harry. Um, I Here's what I think. The game begins, and it's Craven is not in the picture yet. I believe uh, Harry escapes with the symbiote. The symbiote begins to take control, and say Harry gets pulled out of the tank, right? Or the symbiote's like, no, I need Harry. Goes to Harry, becomes fully venomized, and escapes from Norman and Oscorp. And Norman is like desperately trying to find him. Like he's losing his mind trying to find his son to save his son.
Yeah.
But but somehow, obviously, Peter and Miles end up fighting Venom. Well, they beat him, and that's how the black suit gets to Peter. I think.
That's interesting.
It's hard to say on that subject matter, only because Miles seems surprised when he sees the black suit.
Yeah.
So it's really a chicken or the egg. Like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it Venom first and then Black Suit Spidey, or is it Black Suit Spidey and then Venom? So that is hard to say.
That's what's so tough about it. Like the
Yeah.
timeline of these events, just like it's so difficult to pin down. Do you think that there's a world in which Craven kills Venom early on in this game, and then the symbiote escapes? So, I don't know, like Harry's running around as Venom, freaking out, running around New York City, and Craven like kills Harry essentially. And then you have the symbiote escaping like pretty early on in the game, because that could be like something that really pushes Peter. Like he killed his best friend.
I don't think Craven comes to New York City actively hunting Venom, and I think we know that already. I believe Venom is the end goal for Craven. That's what I think. I think that will almost be like a big plot point at the end where Craven is like, "This is the ultimate prey. This thing. I need to kill it." Which is then possible that the symbiote gets onto Craven. I don't know. This is such a great question on
Yeah.
Swaggy G's part. Like it gets so much discussion going. We could honestly probably do another
2
episode
hours.
just talking about this. Yeah, like I mean it's just because I'm like second guessing myself now, because I'll say something and then I'm like, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. And then you bring up a
Exactly.
point and I'm like, you're right. I'm like, well, maybe it plays out like this, and you're like, I don't know. I do think I think this game will end up pushing Norman over the edge to become Green Goblin.
Yeah.
I do not think Green Goblin will be in this game. I think it will be set up that I think he's gonna go a little crazy in this.
Sure.
And I think that's gonna set up the next game. I think something is gonna happen with obviously Peter and Harry. Harry might die, which is what pushes Norman to like seek vengeance.
Right.
Kind of like the Raimi movies, except completely flipped.
It's so weird though, because like when you look back at it, how Harry perceives his relationship with his father through, the research station messages and all of that stuff, you don't get the idea that they have a great relationship together.
In the comics,
But
they usually never do, which
yeah,
is kind of the interesting thing.
and I guess it is kind of just how Norman is with his relationship with his son.
Yeah,
Where he's just hard on him, not super supportive, and
yeah,
doesn't show the affection or give him any sort of affirmations that he loves him. But now that he's like dying, he's like hell bent on saving his son. It's really interesting. There's so much that they really do need to set up with Harry in this game, and there's a lot going on in this game. So I'm hoping that they're able to pull it off. But like establishing a relationship with Harry and Norman that I believe in and love, and then also establishing a relationship between Peter and Harry, and possibly even MJ, because they were all pretty close friends.
that's true.
They need to give us that relationship that we can buy in, so that way if something does happen to Harry, we actually feel that, because we don't really know much about him other than what was, briefly established in the first game through like little messages here and there. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a task to really make us emotionally invested in this relationship with Harry either way.
Yeah. You got me thinking like maybe it's possible that in the beginning, because I didn't even think about the MJ factor in their friendship, that like it's possible that the symbiote, you brought up that point that it may be looking for a stronger host, and it actually detaches itself from Harry, and that's where Harry comes into play. He's like he's dying, and then and Harry like Harry, let's say the symbiote uses Harry to escape Oscorp, and then immediately detaches and is like, I don't want, like, I just needed a way
So
to
I got
get
to
out
get
of
away
here.
from this dude. Who's
Right,
dead.
right. But Harry ends up going to find Peter or MJ, and he's dying. Like he
Yeah.
is on his like he needs help badly. Of course, we know they're seeking out Connors, and then MJ maybe go to Peter and be like, "Listen, like I found Harry. He's sick. He's dying. We need to help him." But the symbiote makes its way to Peter, and that's kind of why Miles probably doesn't know about this thing yet, because it really has not made itself a presence.
Sure.
Oh man, I could talk about this all day. I don't want to
Yeah.
rant too long. I know we're trying to keep it brief.
We'll get future episodes on it. I can't wait to hear
Oh
what
yeah,
people think about it, honestly, like in the comments.
yeah. I seriously like I love reading people's theories on what they think. Yeah, obviously as more details come out from articles and demos and like little tidbits on Twitter, I
Yeah.
mean every little thing we can grab, I'm holding on to, and I'm putting it on my board of all the lines or whatever, being like, oh no, this could lead to this, and
The
oh, but that makes that not happen. Yeah,
Charlie Day meme.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much. This has literally been me for, I don't know, 5 years now, which is crazy
Yeah,
that it's been half a decade since the first game. Doesn't
yeah,
feel
I know,
like it,
man.
but
Yeah,
I think this has been an awesome discussion. Thank you guys for
yeah,
watching. We're going to be trying our best to reply to everybody in the comment section, because this is going to be a live premiere. So if you want
yeah.
to interact with us, we'll definitely probably be tuning in and out. I'm usually at work when
Mm,
this stuff premieres, but I try to comment. And Grayson
yeah,
was in the last chat too. If you want to actually talk to Grayson, he'll be in the chat
yeah,
probably. But yeah, you can follow our social media. It's right there on your screen, or you can click the links in the description. And a reminder that the part 2 of this episode is going to come out within probably 2 days. So keep an eye out for that one. Any closing
yep.
thoughts that you have for the people, Grayson?
Nope, I do not.
Me
Except I
either.
have the tagline: "Be greater together."